Today's video is all about John Mayer's use of the MXR Carbon Copy. All the times we've seen it on his pedal board and some really great live examples of him using it as his main delay too. This has been a highly requested video from you guys as the MXR Carbon Copy, it's a more versatile delay pedal than the Way Huge Octopus, even though John definitely prefers the Octopus for kind of his shorter delay sounds. But it's going to be interesting just to look at all the different examples and times we've seen the MXR Carbon Copy on one of his boards. We're going to be covering all instances, so mainline tours, smaller shows like with the John Mayer Trio, and Dead & Company also, because John has used the Carbon Copy with Dead & Company too. So we're covering it all in this one video, so let's just dive right on into it. Okay, now the earliest that I can pinpoint John actually started using the Carbon Copy is on June 4th of 2009 on Conan, when the trio would perform California Dreaming, one of my favorite Mayer performances of all time. Now, the bass tone was the Klon Centaur for this performance, and I believe the Way Huge Octopus was on giving the slapback delay the entire show as well. When the solo begins, John steps on the TS-10, and then you hear him step on the Carbon Copy just a moment later, and that's giving the really awesome delay for the solo of California Dreaming. This performance, I know YouTube won't let me show footage of, but we can take a listen to it. So we're going to take a listen to the solo for California Dreaming. Like I said, you'll be able to hear when John steps on the delay. It's very noticeable. And it's funny that in 2009 we have a couple more examples of John using the Carbon Copy, or at least thinking of using it. It was in the mix in terms of being a pedal that he brought with him to different shows or being seen on a pedal board. And I went back and actually had to check when the Carbon Copy released, and it released on March 31st of 2008. So the timeline definitely lines up for when the Carbon Copy released, and then we start to see John kind of experiment with this pedal as maybe his new go-to delay pedal of choice. I still have a Carbon Copy, but I got one when I was really young, and I guess I probably got it in maybe 2008, but it felt like it was released earlier than that almost. It felt like it's been around for longer than just since 2008 was still long ago, but you guys get what I'm trying to say. So our next example is on July 7th of 2009. We have Michael Jackson's Memorial, where John would perform just this beautiful rendition of Human Nature. He had a few pedals on the floor in front of him that were just all powered by batteries. As far as I can tell, John didn't use the Carbon Copy at all, and it might have been one of those game time decisions where he was experimenting and rehearsing with using some delay in the Carbon Copy, and then he brought it with him and he had it in case in the moment he felt like using it. But based on the audio of the performance, I don't believe it was used at all. And then a month later, on August 9th, the John Mayer Trio would perform a secret show at the Troubadour, and we have this really cool shot of John's pedal board, and it's one of the most interesting boards I think we've ever seen John use. But the main kind of delay pedal that John had besides the Octopus was the Carbon Copy. In this shot here specifically, you can see that the modulation light is on. So in case you're wanting to maybe experiment with some of John's kind of Carbon Copy settings or use that as kind of your Mayer delay pedal, in most of the instances where you can see a good shot of the Carbon Copy on John's board, and even in some live footage as well, you can see the modulation light is in fact on. So just something worth noting in terms of how John actually uses the Carbon Copy. Okay, so I'd say the best example of John using the carbon copy is at Crossroads in 2010 for the performance of Ain't No Sunshine. John has this Crossroads Gibson 335, and the tone with that delay pedal is just to die for. I think that's one of John's best sounding guitars of all time. This is another example, though, that I know because I've tried to post videos on Crossroads 2010 many times and just stopped because every time I try and play just a little bit of footage, YouTube will flag it and the video just is completely blocked. So you can find it elsewhere online. There's some videos of where it's actually they've managed to upload it and YouTube hasn't flagged it for whatever reason. But go and listen to the performance of Ain't No Sunshine from Crossroads 2010. It's incredible. If you haven't listened to it before, you're gonna just love it. But that, I'd say, is probably the best example of John actually using the carbon copy. You can really hear the delay while he's soloing. I'm sorry, that's just the reality, though, is that I'm not gonna be able to play any footage for you guys. Maybe I'll try just like a 5 to 10 second clip and see if that'll make it into the video. I'll try, and you guys will hear it or not. In the mid-2010s, I'm not sure exactly when this photo was taken, but there's this photo that John posted to his Instagram store at some point, I think around like 2015, 2016 timeframe, and he kind of made a joke about how messy his floor was because he was just playing guitar at home, and one of the pedals you can see in the shot is the carbon copy, so just cool to note that it's a pedal that John's even used just when he's at home playing, practicing, whatever he's doing, or writing songs. It's in the mix, it's a pedal he has with him there. Moving on to 2017, August 4th, we have John joining Bob Weir and the Campfire Band at Red Rocks. On this board, we would see the MXR Carbon Copy, and this pedal board would kind of be the base foundation for what we'd see John going into Dead & Company 2018. And as I just mentioned, in 2018, we would see some experimentation with John's pedal board as Dead & Company's kind of touring cycle would go on in 2018. The carbon copy was seen multiple times on different variations of John's board for those tours as well. So again, still kind of clearly in the mix, but only really for Dead & Company at this point in time. And now moving away from Dead & Company, John would join Alec Benjamin on May 9th of 2019. He had a small pedal board with him, and he did have the MXR Carbon Copy on it too, probably his main delay for that performance. And now we can fast forward a little bit to 2022, and during the Sob Rock tour, as I've mentioned a few times on the channel, if you've been kind of following my videos highlighting the Sob Rock era, John had what we call kind of his B rig for that tour, when he'd do just the odd kind of guest appearance, some smaller shows where he didn't bring his main full touring pedal board along with him. The main delay that John had with him for that pedal board was actually the carbon copy. He did have an Octopus as well, a Mark II version, but the carbon copy was there to kind of do the slightly longer delay sounds, which I always thought was kind of interesting because why not just add another Providence chrono delay on the pedal board or something else instead, as he clearly was favoring the Providence delays, either the Delay 80s or the chrono, especially kind of modern John Mayer delay sounds. So the fact that he was using instead, and I get those are kind of more digital delays versus the analog, but still, you know, longer delays, he clearly likes those. So I always thought it was a little bit interesting with the B pedal board for the Sob Rock era that John was using the carbon copy instead, but that's what we have. And just for fun, let's take a listen to my favorite kind of John Mayer guest appearance of 2022 at least, when he joined Alexander 23 on the last show of the Sob Rock tour to perform Everybody Wants to Rule the World. And that Sawbrock B-Rig pedal board is actually the last time we've seen John using the MXR Carbon Copy. Do I think we will see it again on any one of his boards or in a setup? Honestly, probably not. John's been using the Boss DM101 now for some of those more analog delay sounds and a pedal that can cover a lot more ground as well. Like I already mentioned, the Providence delays too, John's been favoring a lot. The Way Huge Octopus is not going to go away. That's going to be a mainstay pedal, I think, for John's entire career. So at that point, the Carbon Copy kind of doesn't really need to be involved in the mix if John's experimenting with different analog delays, has a lot of digital delays he likes for those longer delay sounds as well to kind of do the Pete Cornish TES thing like the Province Delay 80s. So I really wouldn't expect or would be very surprised to see John using the Carbon Copy again at this point. I think there's more interesting stuff out there, stuff he can experiment with more and just gives him more options as well. Like the Carbon Copy is a great pedal, don't get me wrong, but I just think it's kind of, it would just not cover enough different ground, I almost think, in John's rigs. So yeah, we'll see if he ever uses it again. I'll cover it on the channel if he does, but I think it's kind of had its point in time where he's used it and now it's kind of, you know, going away. I think the Sawbrock B-Rig pedal board definitely was an anomaly though and kind of an odd choice for a pedal on that board, but that's what he used, so I don't know. You guys get what I'm trying to say. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and some of the tones I was trying to play for you guys as well. You guys were able to actually hear. That would be really nice to help make the video. If you guys want to see me cover any other kind of how and when John Mayer uses different pedals, let me know in the comments down below as always. Take care, everyone. I'll see you on the next video.